Hey guys, welcome to creatingtracks.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at recording bass. In the last videos, we recorded these patterns for our drums. So let's record some bass and I'll show you what the drums sound like. So I'll hit navigate and zoom out of my pattern and check it out. So in this tutorial, we're going to be recording a bass pattern for this second drum pattern. So check it out. Okay, so because this is a pretty minimal sounding pattern, we're going to use a separate bass pattern for this and a separate one for 3, 4, and also the first one. So in this one, we're going to take a look at this because it sounds pretty minimal. There's not much going on. It's a pretty slow pattern. So what we can do is come up here, double click on this pattern and type in intro because that'll be our intro pattern. And if I click over here, this arrow, you can see it says intro and not pattern 2. So it's going to keep changing its name wherever you change it. Now let's click on group B. And I'm going to hit pattern and add a new pattern. And now you can see our patterns added over here. You can see the length on the right side. It says it's 4 over here, so I can bring it down, but I'll leave it at 4. And then what we can do is start recording. So what I'm going to do is, before I record, I'll show you what notes I'm using. So I'm going to be using a minor scale. And here are some of those notes. I'll just turn up the octave so you can hear it better. Alright, so what I just played was a minor scale, and for those who don't know much about scales, you can use these few notes right here, and even these notes from the minor scale that will help you come up with new patterns. So we have 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, 13, 15, 16. So that's an octave up until 13, and then these two are an octave higher from these two. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 3 notes right here and come up with a pattern for my pattern 2 for drums. So hold down pad mode, turn it down an octave, and all right, so I'm going to hold down shift and record. And before we do that, make sure you have selected your intro pattern. So over here, I'm going to click on intro or group B, and then I'm going to hold down shift and hit record for a count in, and then start recording. So let's go. And you can always hear the whole pattern out. Take your own time. You don't have to rush into recording. Just feel it out and then start recording. So let's go. All right, so now you can see that our notes are recorded, but the first note is missing, but it's still playing. And that's because over here at the very end, you can see it right there. And if I zoom in with my navigate, and I navigate to the right, and I zoom in more, and navigate to the right, and zoom in more, you can see that our note right here is playing inside of our limit. And then that's why the MIDI note gets triggered, and then it goes back to the first loop, or the beginning of the loop. So what we can do to fix that is quantize our notes. And because they're all on downbeats, it's okay if I quantize it, not 50%, but full quantize. And you can see that the first note is now over there. So now if I hit play, all right, so now we have these notes over here. And if I zoom in all the way with my navigate, you can see that there's a gap over here. And to fix that gap, you can just move your mouse cursor over here and you can see it change. So at the end of the clip, you'll see your mouse cursor change and then you can click and drag it. So I'm going to drag it all the way up here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this note and also the same thing over here. And then here you can do the same thing, but since these notes are the same, you can copy and paste them from before. But it's also a pretty small fix. So I'll just do it right here and it's done. So now if I zoom out and check it out. Another thing you can have is have short notes. So I can select these first two, shift select these two, and drag these 4 notes in like that. So the first note sounded okay because it was right on the kick drum, but this isn't sounding too good. So let's go back to our drum pattern, select our kick, copy on the machine, or you can right click over here and do copy, or Command C, Control C, go back into your bass pattern, and then just paste it. And now we have all these MIDI notes over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag these first 2 notes right here and drag them and make them a little longer. And I'll drag them down to this note and delete that note. So now if I play, you can hear the first 2 notes are lining up perfectly with the kick drum, so it sounds a little more tighter. And now we can do the same thing with all these notes. So I'm going to extend this a little bit and drag it down and delete, and maybe make it a little longer, and then do the same thing right here. So I'm just going to extend these first and then grab these, just so I don't have to do it again and again, and line them up with my previous MIDI notes right here, the longer ones. So I'm going to drag these 2 down to this note. And you can always add more notes in between, but this will just line everything up with your kick drum. So I'm just going to line these 4. What the heck is going on? All right, these 4 down here and delete. So that's why I don't delete these notes, just so you remember where it is. Place it on top of it and then delete it. So now I'm just going to double click on this note, delete it because it's overlapping, and then double click again to place it back. And then you can manually go ahead and make whatever changes you want. So maybe you can increase the length of one of these notes. I don't know why that thing is not showing it right there. So like that. So there you go. That's a pretty cool way to get your bass sounding tight with your kick drum. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to our channel for a lot more. And we'll see you next time. Peace.